Clara Sutton hugged her laptop bag tighter against her side as she walked briskly down Mercer Street, the soft thud of her sneakers barely audible over the distant hum of traffic. It was nearly midnight, and downtown had fallen quiet, save for the occasional hiss of a passing car. The office deadline had chained her to her desk long after everyone else had gone home. Being a junior architect meant long hours and little thanks, but tonight, exhaustion gnawed at her sharper than usual. The air was heavy, humid, still carrying the faint smell of rain on concrete. One of the streetlights ahead flickered weakly, painting erratic shadows across the cracked pavement. "Stop it, Clara," she told herself, tucking a stray strand of damp hair behind her ear. "It's just a late walk. You've done this before." And yet, she couldn't shake the crawling sensation at the base of her neck, as though unseen eyes traced every step. She froze, pretending to adjust her bag, listening. Nothing. Get a grip. But then there it was again. Soft, deliberate, matching her pace. Clara's heart rate spiked. She sped up. The footsteps followed. She turned sharply into an alley shortcut, intending to emerge near the busier avenue. The alley was narrow, boxed in by damp brick walls. Her shoes slapped the wet asphalt as her breath came quicker. Behind her, the footsteps quickened. She broke into a jog. Arms. From the shadows. One clamped over her mouth, smothering her scream. Another hooked around her waist, lifting her off balance. She twisted violently, fingernails raking skin, but more hands joined. 4 figures. She kicked, caught someone's shin, earning a grunt. "Quiet," a voice hissed, low and commanding. A sharp, chemical-sweet smell flooded her nose as a rag pressed against her face. Her vision blurred, sounds stretching and warping as darkness swallowed her whole. Clara woke to the smell first. Mold. Something metallic like rust or blood. She groaned, head pounding, the darkness pressing down on her from every side. Cold stone beneath her cheek. Her wrists burned. Coarse rope bit into her skin, binding her hands behind her back. She forced herself to breathe slowly, to stay quiet, straining her ears. Muffled chanting. Low, rhythmic, endless. Her eyes adjusted gradually to a faint, reddish glow seeping from somewhere ahead. Shadows danced on walls marked with dark, spiraling symbols. Where am I? Bits of memory surfaced. The alley, the hands, the rag. Panic surged hot in her chest, but she bit it back, forcing herself to analyze. She craned her neck. The room was small, carved from rough stone, damp and old, maybe a basement or a crypt. A single iron door stood slightly ajar, a sliver of orange light spilling through. Beyond it, footsteps approached. Measured, unhurried. 2 figures entered, robed in deep black, hoods obscuring their faces. They didn't speak. One carried a brass bowl, the other a bundle of candles. Neither acknowledged her. Clara twisted her wrists subtly, testing the knots. Too tight. Her breath came shallow, chest aching. Think, Clara. Think. She shifted her gaze around the chamber, cataloging details like pieces of a blueprint. A wooden table along the far wall, cluttered with tools. Metal hooks, bone-handled knives, glass jars filled with something dark. A cracked, barred window near the ceiling. Too small to escape, but maybe useful later. A loose stone by her right foot, its edge jutting slightly. The chanting grew louder, resonating through the floor beneath her. She leaned closer to the door, catching fragments of words she didn't understand. Morian vessel. Unbound flesh. Her stomach churned. Hours, or minutes she couldn't tell, passed before they came for her. 4 of them this time, moving with eerie synchronicity. No one spoke. One cut her bonds, yanking her roughly to her feet. Her legs trembled as she stumbled forward. They led her through a narrow corridor into a cavernous chamber lit by dozens of candles. Incense burned thick in the air, acrid and cloying. The walls dripped with condensation, painted with sprawling black symbols that spiraled into dizzying patterns. At the center stood an altar, slab-like, dark stone slick with moisture. And beside it him, the leader. He wore no hood, his face pale and sharp-boned, framed by thinning black hair. His eyes, empty yet feverishly alive. "Clara Sutton," he said softly, his voice smooth as glass. Her breath hitched. "How do you know my name?" "You are chosen," he said, stepping closer. "Your life is unspent. Your dreams unrealized. To Morian, this makes you precious." Her throat constricted. "You're insane." He smiled faintly, almost pityingly. "Murder," he said. "No, not murder. A gift. A glorious offering to keep the veil intact. Without balance, the world rots. One must fall, so the many endure." The chanting surged, dozens of robed figures kneeling in unison. Clara's knees weakened. Her pulse thundered in her ears, drowning thought. "No, no, no. Think." Her eyes darted to the walls, scanning for escape routes, weapons, anything. Her gaze caught on a table near the altar. Candles, glass vials, a silver dagger gleaming under candlelight. Then the weakness. A heavy brass lantern hung precariously on a chain above. Its hook rusted, its support cracked. Directly above the altar. "If I can reach it." They dragged her to the altar. Clara thrashed violently, but their grip was iron. They forced her onto the cold stone slab, binding her wrists and ankles with leather straps. Her chest heaved, panic clawing its way up her throat. The leader approached, lifting the dagger reverently. "Clara Sutton," he intoned, voice low and steady. "Through you Morian drinks. Through you we endure. No, please don't." The chanting reached a crescendo, pounding against her skull like a drumbeat. The incense burned her lungs, black spots blooming in her vision. The dagger rose. Clara jerked violently, twisting her bound wrists just enough to pull free one hand. Raw, bloody skin scraping against leather. In the same motion, she shoved her shoulder against the altar's edge, sending her weight crashing into the stone. The jolt rocked the lantern above. Metal groaned. Crash. Flaming oil exploded across the altar, splattering robes, igniting cloth. Screams tore through the chamber as candles toppled, fire racing across the floor. Clara ripped free of the remaining straps, grabbed the fallen dagger, and slashed wildly at the nearest cultist. Hot blood sprayed. Ran. Through smoke, through chaos, past shadows writhing in firelight. A hand seized her arm. She stabbed without thinking, feeling the blade sink into flesh. She bolted through a side passage, heart hammering, lungs searing. The corridor twisted endlessly, walls closing in, the chanting behind her replaced by shouts and screams. Her bare feet slapped wet stone, slipping on puddles, every muscle burning. Door. Warped with age. She rammed it with her shoulder. It burst open into cold night air. She stumbled into a field, wild grass whipping at her legs. Above, the moon hung pale and indifferent. She ran until her lungs felt like they'd tear, until her vision blurred, until her legs gave way and she collapsed onto a dirt road. Somewhere behind, faintly, she heard distant screams and the crackle of fire. Clara rolled onto her back, chest heaving, tasting blood and smoke. Her hands trembled violently, still clutching the dagger slick with someone else's life. Headlights appeared over the hill ahead, blinding in the darkness. A vehicle slowed, stopping a few feet away. The driver's door opened. A figure stepped out, silhouetted by the beams. "Are you all right?" a man's voice called. Clara tried to answer, but only a rasp escaped. Her vision wavered. The last thing she saw before collapsing was the figure walking toward her, and the faint impression of dark robes swaying in the headlights.